We find the same essential picture in Ezekiel, where Antichrist's kingdom is similarly portrayed as a single country ruling a subordinate empire composed of multiple parts. Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Ezekiel 38:2. Gog, as was pointed out in section 2, is a prophetic name for Antichrist, while Magog refers to his home country, Babylon, a super-nation which holds sway over a larger composite empire, that is, revived Rome. In the passage quoted, the revived Roman Empire is designated by the two Japhetic nations, Meshech and Tubal. The use of Meshech and Tubal to describe revived Rome, especially its 7 European kingdoms, is particularly appropriate, since these two tribes are often associated with one another, not only in scripture, but also in ancient secular history. In an identical way to the description given, the European part of revived Rome will also be composed of multiple territorially contiguous states, which, while often associated in general terms, are yet each unique and distinct. This central characteristic of Babylon's subordinate empire, that is, being both unified in one sense, and yet at the same time clearly composed of disparate parts, is also emphasized in Daniel's vision of the great statue. In that vision, however, not only are there distinct parts, that is, feet and toes, but even within the composition of its essential material, we see a further schism. And after you, Nebuchadnezzar, another kingdom will arise inferior to you, then a third kingdom after that, one of bronze which will rule the whole earth. Then there will be a fourth kingdom, that is, revived Rome, strong as iron inasmuch as iron crushes and shatters everything. And like iron which smashes everything, this fourth kingdom will crush and smash all of these other kingdoms. And in that you saw that its feet and toes were part potter's clay and part iron, it will be a divided kingdom. But in that you saw iron joined to common clay, it will possess some of the strength of iron. And as to the toes of its feet being part iron and part clay, the first, literally end part of the kingdom, that is, the 7 kingdoms, will be strong, but the other part of it, that is, the 3 kingdoms, will be brittle. And in that you saw iron joined to common clay, there will be an attempt to join these 10 sub-kingdoms together, in the seed of man, that is, through a mixing of their populations. But they will not bond one to another, just as iron cannot be joined to clay. Daniel 2:39 through 43. In this passage too we see the beast's kingdom overall represented as bipartite, for there are 2 legs of iron upon which it stands, that is, Babylon and revived Rome. And as was the case with Meshech and Tubal in Ezekiel 38:2, we also see here a second bifurcation that is itself composed of multiple parts. There are 2 feet, representing the dual nature of the revived Roman Empire over which Babylon rules. Moreover, in Daniel's careful and repetitive representation of the feet and toes as partly iron and partly clay, these 2 elements are being represented as visibly distinguishable and distinct rather than intermingled. That is to say, they are seen as fused one to another rather than confused altogether, layered rather than rendered homogeneous. Therefore we may understand that some of the toes are made of iron and some of clay, with the clay and iron radiating up into the feet in separate and discernible strata, like zebra stripes, and with the iron toes representing the 7 nations of European Rome, while the clay toes represent the 3 nations of the Southern Alliance, the former group being strong and the latter brittle. The 10 horns of the beast, the 10 toes in Daniel's vision of the great statue, consisting partly of iron and partly of clay, present a clear parallel to the 10 horns of the fearsome beast seen in Daniel chapter 7 and Revelation chapters 13 and 17. Both are symbolic of the 10 nations of the revived Roman Empire when seen in its final united form after the collapse of the 3 southern nations. After this I was watching in the vision of the night, and behold, a 4th beast, that is Rome or revived Rome, terrible and fearsome and exceedingly powerful. And it had huge iron teeth. It devoured all the others, crushing them to bits and trampling underfoot whatever was left. Now this beast was different from those which preceded it, and it had 10 horns. Daniel 7:7. This twofold nature of New Rome, seen in Ezekiel's reference to Meshech and Tubal, and in Daniel's implicit differentiation between the toes of iron and clay, is also to be found in the other descriptions of the 10 horns of the beast. Then I wish to know the details about the fourth beast, that is Rome or revived Rome, which was different from all the others. It had iron teeth which were exceedingly terrible, and claws made of bronze. It devoured all the others, crushing them to bits and trampling underfoot whatever was left. And I also desired to know the details about the 10 horns on its head, and the other one, that is Antichrist, which came up later, and before which 3 of the former ones fell, that is, the Southern Alliance. Daniel 7:19 and 20. And as to the 10 horns from that kingdom, that is Rome, the fourth beast, 10 kings will arise, and another one, that is Antichrist, will arise after them. And he will be different from the former ones, and he will cast down 3 kingdoms. Daniel 7:24. The passage quoted also makes clear the bipartite nature of revived Rome, that is, the 10 kingdoms which will arise later and will come from that kingdom of historical Rome. For the 10 horns are divided into the explicitly named block of 3, overtly conquered by Antichrist, and a further block which we are meant to understand as composed of the other 7. While Daniel 7:24 establishes that the 3 non-European members of the 10-kingdom block that constitutes Antichrist's empire are going to be subdued by military force, it is left to the book of Revelation to explicate the precise nature of the relationship to Antichrist of the remaining 7 kingdoms of revived Rome. And another sign appeared in the sky. And behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on its heads were 7 crowns. Revelation 12:3. Here we see the dragon, representing Satan, bearing very close resemblance to the beast, his Antichrist. This resemblance is deliberate, and is an indication of the degree to which Antichrist and his father the devil are in accord. The fact that it is only in this passage that we see 7 heads with crowns, everywhere else it is the horns which are crowned, shows that the key stepping stone for the establishment of Satan's kingdom on earth will in fact be the central 7 kingdoms of revived Rome under the command of Antichrist and Babylon. And I saw a beast rising from the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads. And on the horns were 10 crowns. And on its heads was a blasphemous name. Revelation 13:1. This verse shows us both the initial and final constitution of revived Rome. At one glance, the 10 horns represent the rulers of the 2 separate parts of revived Rome combined, while the 7 heads represent the 7 kingdoms of revived Rome's largely European part. This passage also demonstrates the critical role played by the 7, for they characterize the beast and his kingdom to such a degree that his blasphemous name is actually inscribed directly upon them, a clear parallel to the inscription of the number of the beast upon the foreheads of all of his followers during the Tribulation's second half, Revelation 13, 16, and 17. The best and earliest manuscripts of the New Testament have the Greek word for name in the singular, not the plural, and we understand from this description that Antichrist's blasphemous title is thus written on the 7 heads in a distributive manner, with 1 letter of that title inscribed upon each of those 7 heads. This, of course, begs the question of just what that name or title might be.